So, working on our second show of the day here at the Break It Down show. We're waiting on Brian Scolaro, our very notable guest, to come on. In the meantime, Matt Paliker, who's a comedian in his own right, we're going to kill a little time and check in with one another.
Well, thanks for having me, Pete. This is my first podcast from snowy Mammoth Lakes, California. So I'm excited to break that cherry with you.
Yes, I happen to like cherries, and that's one of my favorite flavors. Is this your guys' place, or did you rent it, or VRBO? How did you get over there?
It's probably like VRBO. My wife scoped it out. It's pretty distant from a few other places, and we had to take this tank-looking thing to get into it, which my kids liked. So that was pretty cool. Do you get out in the mountain areas much?
Yeah, so the village of people that I'm associated with, through my significant other, there is a cabin or two in our cluster. And so I have no call to any of it. Uh-huh. I don't ask for it because it's not mine to ask for, but I do love it when we get to go once or twice a year, maybe. It's great.
And are you a snow person? Like, have you ever slidden down a trail on a snowboard or skis or sled or anything with purpose?
Yeah, in my youth, I was a pretty decent skier, not great. And I had made friends with a guy named Johnny Mosley, who was a Olympic gold medalist in freestyle. And so his brother was an excellent skier and also Olympic grade. And a bunch of us would go out all the time and ski. So I've skied quite a bit. I enjoy snow and cold weather like that. I don't necessarily want to live in it because I'm smart, but I enjoy the mountains.
So how did you just befriend Johnny Mosley, world-class skier?
Well, he was Johnny Mosley high school kid when I knew him, but you could see from his, and actually when I was in college, I did a TV story on him before he was ever in the Olympics. And this is kind of a funny story. So he was a young kid. His brother was in college, and one of my best friends growing up, his brother and my best friend were in the same fraternity. And so I got to know them through that. And Johnny would come up and he would come to these fraternity parties and, he's the young kid and it was fun. We all got along really well. And then right as he was about to break through on the national level, to really be an Olympian, I said, hey, let me come up to Squaw where they live and do a story on you for my stupid school TV station thing. And so I did this whole thing. It was really good, a bio. And then when the 98 Olympics came along, this is like 4 years later, they had not done a thing on him. And he was like the second person from the US to win a gold medal that year. And so it was like, how did you guys miss this guy? I mean, he's been coming like a freight train for so long. I had actually gone out to his World Cup match. They were doing a ski meet in France when I was in the Army in Europe. And so I drove down for the weekend and watched him win, this massive victory and kind of the passing of the torch is a really neat thing. And nobody bothered to do it. I mean, NBC Sports, people like that, they cover this thing and they never, ever did a bio on him. It was great. So I go back to the time before he was a gold medalist.
So what was that like when he won the gold medal? Like, take us to the after parties, Pete. We want the juicy stuff.
I was an adult. I had a kid, a baby.
Oh, okay.
And he lived in California, so I didn't get to. If I had the ability, I would have absolutely gone to Japan, but I didn't because I was, I had other things to do. Still in the Army, but I had my daughter on my arm, and she was sleeping, and I was bouncing and but not making any noise, just silently, quietly.
You were silently cheering USA, USA.
Yeah, it was so exciting. And I knew he had it because he elevated the whole thing so high from where it was. It was very formulaic before. And he's been on the show several times. And he just I want to make the judges go, wow, damn, what the hell was that? Which is really what freestyle, being free of style is, to go out there and push the boundaries. And he did that. And so that's, it was really incredible.
So could you tell early on, like, him in high school, like, how does one become world-class in something like that?
Well, he grew up in a skiing family. His two older brothers skied a lot. And so, the youngest brother gets the best coaching and everything. And you could see it, like, he would come down the mountain and he could ski well. But I would say in terms of world class, you could see he was a little bit sloppy. He had to work on that and get stronger and get a little bigger. You could absolutely see that. But when he got in the air, what he would do, the amount of airtime he had, and for a while we were calling him Johnny Airtime. It turned out another guy already had that name, so we had to quit calling him that. But
some basketball player in Chicago kind of cornered the market on the
right. He would be in the air so long, so he would do this jump where he would go up, and he would do a 180. So he's facing up the mountain now. Take his legs and spread them out like he was a TIE fighter, right? So he's like, it's called the Cossack, and nobody was doing. They were doing things like twist, and Daffy or something, and it's these tricks that were sort of. They're great, but you were all doing variations on that theme. So triple twist or spread, twist, spread. I mean, spread eagle was a legitimate move back then. Like you don't see anybody doing the spread eagle now, like, woo, And so, yeah, it was, you could see that because he could do these incredible jumps and you're like, this guy is going somewhere. It's going to be very hard to beat him. And then when he and I were getting drunk in France during his World Cup time, the French people at the bottom of the mountain, they're like, you're the future of this sport. They knew who he was, and they're like, La Future. It was really neat to have.
They read the article you wrote in the high school paper.
Yeah, it was college, damn it. And it was TV.
Sorry, college paper. Your college TV station. You're right.
Yeah, which means nobody watched it ever. I'm the only person that remembers that it exists. I'd have to show it to Johnny for him to realize. He's like, I'm sure he remembers doing it, but like I would have to show it for him. I don't think he ever saw it. He just know that I videotaped him coming down the mountain a bunch of different ways, and it probably sucks balls, but it's college, so you're supposed to.
So that seems like a sport you age out of pretty quickly. It's like being a supermodel. If you're 19, 20, you're probably like a little old to do like flips off ramps and stuff onto snow. What's like the post jumping career like for someone like Mosley?
Well, he knew, and this goes back to before he was even a gold medalist. He wanted to be a host of things and talk. And how do I be? I remember he and I had a conversation, a drunken conversation, and he said, "How do I become quotable?" And I'm like, you have to have like witty things to say about things. So take the normal thing and then add something to it, whether it's wit or something like that. And I described Andy Van Slyke was a baseball player who was often quotable. And he's, they're like, you guys lost, in the NLCS and you didn't get to, go to the World Series. What did you do? He's like, I went home, I caught fish, I'd punch them in their fish face and throw the fish back. It's hilarious. He probably didn't do that. But it conjures up the right image, and that was the exact example I gave him. And I take no credit for his career at all. He did all his own stuff, but I'm just saying that to say he was thinking seriously about what he would do after skiing before he even got to the top of skiing. And he knew, and he's done that. He's hosted, American Ninja Warrior, that game show. He's hosted Road Rules for MTV. Oh, wow. He does commentary for the Olympics for freestyle. So that's what he does.
So he's parlayed it pretty successfully.
I would say so. Yeah. His and he has a podcast too. That's fantastic too. He has probably the best theme song in all of podcast landia. It's really funny. It's very, very, very funny. And he's such a great guy. He's a wonderful dude. But yeah, he gets opportunities to pitch things, be ambassadors for products, that kind of stuff. He works hard though. I mean, if there wasn't COVID, he's an international dude. He's all over the planet, because there's always snow somewhere.
Like if you have to be born again, like an international ski star like him, that's not either him or Rick Fox. Like I've thought about that too. Like if I had to come back as someone else, like Rick Fox would be like 1 or 1A on the list. Rick
Fox had a sweet gig, right? Good looking dude. He took what Reggie Theus did and made it even better because they're similar looking guys, but Rick Fox married Vanessa Williams, and it's like, oh, come on. You're living in LA, getting rings, not that he wasn't a great player, but he wasn't a great player.
Right. He's not like a Hall of Fame player, but when you take his off-court activities, there's probably maybe Derek Jeter beats him, but like, and he grew up in a time where it was pre-internet, like you didn't know everything about him.
Right.
He won at least 3 rings, I think, with the Lakers. He was good with the Celtics. Yeah. Played at North Carolina. Rick Fox, if you're listening, you can be a guest one day on Pete's show. I'll offer this platform up to you.
Yes, that would be great. Yeah, and basically he's the same age as me, just he's a lot more successful.
Don't sell yourself. You're right. No. Well, because if you just did the basketball career, it wouldn't be. But his post ball playing career is pretty good. He's been on some TV shows, and he was actually a member of a venture capital fund. So he's a badass.
He is.
How did you pivot into this funky world of podcasting?
Well, I got back from Iraq or in Afghanistan doing all that overseas stuff. And I just was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to have a real life. And so I tried to get a real job, but no one would hire me. And I knew I wanted to tell stories. So we started telling stories on community radio. And we were quickly kicked out. They're like, you guys got to go do something bigger. What you're doing is too good for not too good, but it was just too big. We needed a bigger world to play in. And so John and I, my buddy John Leon Guerrero, we started the Break It Down show. And we're about to hit episode. I think the next episode we record will be 900. So this is like 899, I think. I'd have to look at the numbers, but if it's not that, it's really close.
So what are some of the big milestones in your podcasting career? Because you're pretty early on in the game. Now it's a lot more pervasive, but what's changed in the years you've been doing it?
So a couple things. We knew we were ahead of the curve because people didn't even know what a podcast was or how to do it. How do I do it? That was one of the things. And I at one point, because I'm an idiot, I said, hey, John, we should record a podcast on how to listen to a podcast. 100% serious. And he's like, hey, dummy. If they don't know how to listen to a podcast, how are they going to listen to it? Now, we probably should have recorded it anyhow, but the milestones I would say are this. Can we do this? Yes. Can we do it reliably and repeatedly? Yes. Can we continue to get bigger and better? Yes. The show now is to the point where I book people, but for the most part, between guys like you and Scott Husing and PR companies, a lot of the booking is done by someone other than me, which is remarkable to be as valuable as I am as a show, to be able to be a destination for very, very, very famous people. And a long time ago, I passed the bar of excited but not surprised when someone incredible shows up and says, yeah, I'd love to do the show. So like, this is great. But yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be our musicians have sold over, I think it's 1.7 billion records the last time I tried to tabulate it. So we'll be at 2 billion fairly soon.
You keep a running tally of record sales?
A light tally, We had Susie Quattro on the show the other day. She has been in music since rock and roll basically started. She was the first female who played a musician or who was a musician who fronted a band. Like, there was nobody before her. There was like Tina Turner, Debbie Harry, her are all like the early front women. And she was the only one that could grab an instrument and do something with it. So, and she sold, I think it's 60 million albums just throughout her career.
Yeah. So what were the first few guests that just shocked you when you got them? Because I know it's old hat now, but there's probably one where, oh, damn, okay.
We were very fortunate to come out of the gates really hot. Again, before podcasting, people typically didn't get to go on media at all, right? And so between John's network and my network, we were able to ask a lot of very successful people. So like, the band Tony, one of the Tonys was like, I think our 5th show, and it's like, so I look at how we started and I'm like, good grief, just incredible people left and right. So the very first show was a guy named James Early. He and Felton Pilot produced all of MC Hammer's great music. They were the ones that did that. And they both have done so many incredible things. Felton Pilot is part of the band Can Function, but he was the guy in his part of the Bay Area. If you wanted to get produced, like he helped E40 get going and go in the right direction. I mean, he was the guy. And so James was his guy. And so James has this incredible, body of work. James went to school at Fairfax High in LA with Flea, Anthony Cletus, all those guys. And he's like, I didn't teach Flea how to play guitar or how to play bass, but I didn't also not teach it. He's like, how do you, Flea's asking him back when he was just, Mr. Balzery or whatever. And he's like, how do you do that? And he showed him how to, because he was a better bass player at the time. And so that's how far back he goes in people's careers. As a matter of fact, he was in a band with Slash back when his name was Saul. And then one day he's like, he came in, he had leather pants, and he's like, I want you to call me Slash now. You know, like
a little bit of install if you're entering the rock world. If you're an accountant, go with
yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Fine.
So we started heavy with guys like that, and it was just because we had that, and because of what I know how to do as a spy, I was able to say, well, we've had the guy that produced all of MC Hammer's music. We've had one of the Tonys from Tony. You should come on the show. And the person would be like, yeah, whatever. Okay, great. I don't know who you are, but that sounds good. And we would be in people's houses like Slim Jim Phantom. And he's like, who are all you people? Why am I doing this? He said yes. And like, oh, okay, great. Let's do it. And they would just, they would do it. There's Brad's comment. Still a great idea. If you're almost home, but there are 5 minutes in the podcast, do you listen to the rest in your garage or do you take another lap around the local elementary school? It's always about the elementary school, Brad. That is for sure. I believe that Matt is frozen. Yes, he is. So I will fill some time here for Matt because, modern technology. Wi-Fi works great until it doesn't. And he's got a great location up there in the mountains, but for the moment, we're waiting. And I guess maybe we're not going to get Brian Scolaro today. It's Friday, so what the hell? Why not? A couple things about the show that maybe you guys would like to know. If you listen to Audible, Break It Down Show is there. If you listen on Amazon Podcast, Break It Down Show is there. Those are new destinations for us. I'm going to be pulling the buttons and pushing the levers and twisting the knobs and dials to get us on Amazon in terms of Amazon Fire and Vimeo and a bunch of other places. Over the next few weeks, we'll be adding some more destinations. So if you listen to podcasts into the places and you're like, hey, I come to the Break It Down Show to do Facebook or breakitdownshow.com, we'll be even more places. Another big announcement that we're going to do is I'm never going to, as far as I know, I'm never going to charge for the Break It Down Show. I don't want to do that. But I do want to afford, and this goes on your guys' advice to me, I do want to afford people the chance to support us. So through YouTube, we're going to start doing memberships, and then I'll do whatever I can to sweeten the pot. So maybe it's a $2 membership. I think we're going to go like 2, 10, 25, and 100 because hey, if you guys want to sign up and give me $100 to do the show, I would love to do it. And I'd love to do whatever it is that you all want. Like what's $2 a month for you? Is it just access to the show and being great to me? Thanks. Great. We'll do that. Is it a free t-shirt? I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I'm going to start building that part of the machine so that you have the ability to contribute a monthly amount of money because I think there's enough people out there that appreciate the hard work that we put in. And they'll kick some dollars in. And so that would help me to justify to myself and everybody else that there's actually people out there who watch and pay attention. Hey, Matt's back.
Sorry about that.
Hey, Matt.
But you're such a pro. You can roll with it. You can vamp with the best of them.
I was vamping. Yeah. I was just talking about some of the upgrades to the show. We're going to be adding a subscription feature. I'm not going to charge anybody for the show. I'm not going to hide content, but I'm going to give people a chance to, through YouTube, support the show with a couple of bucks a month, but it's 2, 10, 2,500, and so those that are like, hey, I appreciate the hustle. I mean, look, if you'll give somebody you don't even know $5 or $10 a month of your money, why not give it to your old buddy Pete? Help me keep the lights on. So that's one of the things we're going to do. Probably launch that in December if I'm able to get through all the work. And just you know what I'm going to do, Matt? You'll appreciate this. I'm going to put all the money right back into the show anyhow.
Plow it back in.
Yeah, because so, it's not like I'm gonna be like, all my money, So I was just going through some of those announcements talking about new destinations. We're on Amazon, Audible, a lot of different places, and we're getting some more. I'm going to try next year to work on some radio syndication too. We'll see what happens.
Cool. Well, I discovered we're both huge fans of the British baking show.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I mean, I knew there was a reason we came together, Pete, because I think it was maybe this time last year, I did a comedy festival and someone suggested the show. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of a sucker for like competition cooking shows. Didn't think I would like it. I'm hooked. So what is it about being in a tent and cooking biscuits that excites you so much?
First off, it's British and they do things really well, They don't focus on salacious, right? Like they'll have like, oh, I'm Justin. I barely compete well in my cookie contest at my church. And so I thought I'd give this a go. And they said yes. And so I'm just going to do my best to do my best, you know. And there was these wonderful people that, like, and you've seen this, like, oh my God, I need help the last minute. Like the contestant they're competing against will run over and help them. Like, how can I help you do this? Or your cake, it's gonna fall, and then they dive over. And it's I love that. I love how real these people are. I love how they cry and they're not like faking it. These are real people that do real things. And it's just so good. And it's not a bunch of, yes, the timelines are kind of tight sometimes, but it's not like this ginned up timeline. Like, we only have 8 minutes to do a job that takes 2 hours. You know, like, no. This, like, they're letting them bake something. And sometimes it's hot in there. Sometimes it's cold. That's why I love it. It's just very genuine, very wonderful people. Well,
I heard about it because Paul Hollywood had some affair with like a 23-year-old co-host, or maybe she's 24. I don't want to, disclose her age if she's not cool with that. But then I saw the show and he's kind of like this playboy baker, and I've never, those two worlds don't really collide much, and I'm down with it.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable what they managed to do. And they release the shows weekly too. They don't just dump 10 in so you junk out on them. And so what we do in our house is my girlfriend and I, she'll bake on the theme for that week, and we'll have a breakfast in bed date as we watch the episode. And we're so excited to watch the finale tonight or tomorrow. It's ridiculous, And so we've actually had, get this, we had Dana Commendatore on the show.
Right.
She was on the American version, and she's the wife of, hey, there's Brian. It's like we got Brian in the house almost. We had her on the show because she did the American version of the show, and she's just such a great person. And again, right on theme for them. They're not going for salacious. No one's rolling their eyes at each other. They let quirky, weird people come in. Why do you like it?
I like it because if you're in a pandemic and you're afraid you're going to die because someone coughed like 20 feet next to you, you can watch people bake bread, and I just feel warm and cozy. And it's like escapism. It's like anti-porn in a way. It's like it's so pure and wholesome. And it just makes me feel like a good person.
I also love the adjectives, they have like, oh, that's squidgy, and just all the crazy things that they say that I want to add in American vocabulary,
And they only win the accolades, right? There's no prize money. Is that true? Like,
nope.
It's just a pure love.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a party with all the contestants afterwards. So they're all like, you can't just be jerks to one another. And when they're off camera, they're helping one another out. You know? Like, how do I do this or whatever? Let's see if we got Brian sitting down here. Let's bring Brian into the studio. Hi. Good afternoon, Brian.
What's up, Brian?
Sorry, Mike.
That's all right. We'll get by. It's Friday. Let's not work too hard.
What's going on, guys? How are you?
We're good. Thanks for joining. We've got comedian, author of How to Punch a Monkey, big time actor, all around good dude, Brian Scolaro joining us. So thank you very much.
Dude, that guy is great. Brian Scolaro, he's great. I've seen him. He's great. A little fat, but he's great.
When Brian Scolaro sees Brian Scolaro's bio, your list of things you've done, sometimes does it drop your own jaw where you're like, holy cow, I have been on all these shows?
The first thing I think of is, where's all the money? It was here. It's no longer here. I mean, you think, I think that I had 8 really, really good years where my dream came true. And then like things change in life. There was a writer's strike, and the writer's strike followed by the economy collapse, and everything changed. And, I started doing a lot of guest roles, and you can't really live on guest roles. But I think about, I've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, and I've had great times. And I was able to avoid having a real job for my entire life until this year. Took Corona to Corona, knocked me out of the entertainment game. So I'm like, okay. But that's the negative answer. The positive answer is, I had a really good time. And their memories that nobody could take away from me. And I will exist on Netflix and Amazon and people's DVD shelves for the rest of my life because I've done stuff, but really, I would still like to have that money back. I'll tell you. It's like I never bought a yacht. I never went to Europe except for to do a show. So I don't know what I did with the money. I hope I had fun.
Yeah.
Well, I saw you not long ago on Million Reasons Why. I was watching it with my wife, and I was like, "That's Brian Scolaro."
A million little things. Yeah, a million little things on ABC.
So what was that like?
Well, I was supposed to do that show again. I've done it twice, and I was supposed to do it again, but it shoots in Canada, and so they wouldn't have me because Screen Actors Guild would insist that they pay for my 14 days quarantine. So that would be like 10 grand. So they wouldn't have me a third time, which is sad. But I really enjoy that show because it's heavily dramatic, but all the guest stars get to be funny. Because the show is about a guy killing himself, which is a great show for comedy. And then I almost threw up. You see that? And then all the other characters, that they see, get to lighten the load a little bit. So I had a great time, and I love to do dramatic comedy. It's really fun to do dramatic comedy because it's like in a situation comedy like Cheers or a multi-camera comedy like Big Bang Theory, you have to do the joke a certain way. But in dramatic comedy, you get to be kind of subtly funny, quietly funny, and it's more relaxing and more fun.
Very cool.
And they couldn't have been any nicer, Anyway, but it was fun, and I got to wear a suit. I never get to wear a suit. I haven't worn a suit since I don't know, since somebody died. I'm so fat now I can't fit in my suit. So I'm afraid to get too close to people because one day they're going to invite me to a funeral or a wedding, and I can't. So they're always like, "Oh, how's your mother? Oh, she's getting sick." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, it's good to know you." I can't hang out. How are you and Jennifer doing? Oh, I just popped the question. Ah, damn it. All right, I guess, well, it's nice knowing you. I can't come.
So what was the first TV show you did that excited you?
Just the first show is just fun to be on, to just suddenly get paid. I grew up watching television. I grew up watching Tim Conway and Laurel and Hardy, and then my mother introduced me to the best of John Belushi. So all of a sudden be on the television was traumatic fun. So the first one was great. You got to give me a specific one. They're all different.
Well, what was the first where you wanted to brag to your friends in high school? Was it Baywatch? Was it Mad Men or what?
I was not on Baywatch. I can be. I'm nice and I got a nice rack, but I was not on Baywatch. I've dated a girl who was on Baywatch, but I dated her on TV. There was a show called My So-Called Life, and Baywatch had a character. I had a woman named E.J. Langer, and I played her boyfriend for 2 years on a show called Three Sisters. But nobody watched that because 9/11 happened, and we had more important things to worry about than supporting a fat guy's dreams. But I was not on Baywatch.
But if you were, you would have.
I can't run on a beach. I can sit on a beach. Anyway, what's the question?
Why are you doing this podcast today? No, I know you from stand-up, so I didn't realize till later on you were such an accomplished actor. Did you do acting to promote stand-up, or vice versa, or how do you kind of split those skills that you have?
My dream was to always be an actor, and that's what I think I'm good at. I like stand-up comedy a lot, but it was not a dream. It was I just wanted to do both. I loved. In 1985 or 84, I saw George Carlin in Long Island at the Westbury Music Fair, and I saw Bill Cosby, God rest his soul, in Harrah's, Atlantic City, and he put something in my drink. No, I saw him in Atlantic City, and the two of them were great. And I watched their specials on HBO. Bill Cosby himself and George Carlin Playing with Your Head. They both came out that year, and I was like, I would like to do that too. So stand-up was never a stepping stone to acting. Now, if you ask me which one I like better, I like acting better because there's no bachelor party on the set of Mad Men interrupting me while I'm trying to talk. So I tend to like acting better, and the money's much better. I don't got to get on an airplane, and there's no drunk people that are trying to jump in my show. And they always say the same thing, Matt, afterwards. I was just trying to help. No, you weren't. You were trying to get attention. Shut up.
Amen.
Okay, the silence after.
So wait, so acting's easier? Like, are you good at the whole lines thing and all that stuff? But does it drive you crazy to sit around and wait all day for lighting and things to be set up? Or that would drive me nuts.
That doesn't bother me. The hardest part of acting is the auditions. I mean, I audition for so many things, and then nothing happens because it all depends on the way you look. And nowadays, the fat best friend has been replaced with the minority best friend. So I'm not good looking enough to be the lead. So the side parts usually go to fat people, and now they kind of go to minority. So now the fat people, I can play a gym coach on fucking Disney Channel, but mostly, my parts don't exist anymore. So that's the hardest part of acting.
You have to recast yourself as a Puerto Rican.
I've been thinking I could be a Puerto Rican, I could be a Jewish Puerto Rican. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm not complaining. I've had a really good career. I just don't have the money to prove it. Right now, I live in a studio apartment. It's so small. My toilet's right there. I can see my toilet. It's right there. Yeah. Okay, but I like acting better. I prefer it. I don't like all the downtime when you don't work. Both jobs are dependent on other people hiring you. It's a freelance thing. So that's the hardest part about it, is waiting for somebody to remember you and go, where's Brian? I like him. Bring him in. That's the hardest part, But I've done well. Mad Men, Dexter, Bones, Castle, Grey's Anatomy, The Middle. What else? I've been in a lot of stuff. You guys have the list in front of you, don't you?
Yeah. Right here at BrianScolaro.com. Everybody can go there and check it out.
I'm going there right now. Shameless. I just did Shameless recently. I've been on Conan twice. Started Comedy Central special. Sullivan's Son, Men of a Certain Age, Superior Donuts. I've been around. I've had a career. Now, now I'm talking to you guys. So it's all over, clearly.
So, yeah, it's nice to peek with you, Brian. This is exciting for the three of us.
Brian, what shows do you watch? Like, what do you want to be on? Like, God, I got to call that producer. I'd kill on that show.
Listen, it's hard for me to watch TV because I would like to be on everything. What shows do I enjoy? I really like Fargo, the show Fargo. I think that show is absolutely amazing. I wanted to be on the first few seasons of Walking Dead, but I figured as a fat guy, I'd be killed immediately. The first season, there was a fat guy on it, and they shot him in the leg, so he fell, and then the zombies ate him. I'm like, that's not fair. You know what I mean? I could have done that. Mostly, I tend to watch old stuff. I love news radio. I love the Honeymooners. I love Barney Miller. I love WKRP in Cincinnati. I still DVR those shows and watch those like once a day. That's the stuff I like. Isn't that sad? Why haven't they shot a new Barney Miller? I'm ready to go. I mean, like, I have an audition for the Honeymooners tomorrow, but I don't think they're going to be there. Anyway, what do you watch?
British Baking Show and nothing else. That's
what we watch, both of us. Not together.
The guy from the British Baking Show. I've pictured you guys just put on your skirts and sit down and watch it together, hold hands. But the guy from the show, Noel Fielding, he was on one of my favorite shows, The Mighty Boosh from Britain. I love The Mighty Boosh. That's a show that's no longer shooting. So that show is fantastic, So
and that guy, Noel Fielding, he's great too. He's done well with the British Baking Show. He's getting an executive producer credit now too on that show.
Yeah, he's I've always liked him from The Mighty Boosh. Was one of my favorite shows of all time. That's Noel Fielding.
Nice. And now you're an acting coach, Brian.
I have to do something during the pandemic, so I can't work. I also have multiple sclerosis, which means I have a lower immune system. And a lot of people are not wearing their masks. So I can't be getting on airplanes and going to Florida where some of the clubs are open and performing there. I can't do it. And so I have to have a living. And so the unemployment runs out December 26th. So I'm desperately trying to find a way to contribute to society where I don't have to put my life at risk because I have no immune system. There's no plan for people with diabetes. There's no plan for people with heart problems or lung problems. There's no plan for people with autoimmune diseases. How are they supposed to survive in this pandemic once the assistance stops? So I'm trying to do acting coaching, and I just started announcing it. I understand. I've been doing it for 20 years, so I have all these scripts that I've accumulated. So all I do is I offer people to join me on Zoom, and I read with them, and I do the scenes with them, and I teach them how to act on multi-camera, which is like The Big Bang Theory, where it's like a stage play. I teach them how to coach them how to do single camera, which is one to years, one camera, a lot of like the Goldbergs, one camera. And then I talk to them about the audition process, how to self-tape an audition and what they're looking for and how to audition in person when that reopens. And it's really easy for me, and I can communicate really well. I was a communications major. I used to work with the mentally disabled for 10 years in Brooklyn. So, which is very similar to stand-up comedy, as you know, Matt, but it's very easy for me to coach. And so I'm offering that, or if they're interested, just go to my website and send me a message to the contact page, and I'll talk to them about it. It's just something. There's a difference between theater acting and television acting, and I've been doing television acting solely as a career for 20 years, so I know how to do it, and it's fun for me to coach. It's really easy to communicate how to do it. So for me. So
can I ask you? I don't want to put you on the spot, but what does it cost to get coaching lessons from you? Someone who's like, "Fuck it, I want to do that. I've got to do something different." What are you going to hit them for?
Well, it's 3 2-hour sessions. One is multicam, one is single cam, one is audition process, and it's $100 a session, so $300 through PayPal or Venmo or Cash App. And nice. I'm also coaching stand-up comedy for people who already have done it. I'm not going to teach them joke structure. I'm not going to teach them acting. I'm not going to teach them stand-up comedy. What I'm going to do is coach them. So in stand-up comedy, I'm going to look at their stuff and then go over their stuff with them and give them notes and how to make their act better and how to make their act sellable. As Matt knows, a lot of people think it's just joke writing, but there's so much more on stage presence and how to sell yourself and what are you presenting to the audience. When you went to see a George Carlin show, you know what you were getting. Yeah. When you went to see a Bill Hicks show, you know what you were getting, or Richard Jeni, whoever. But nowadays people just go to a comedy club and go, I hope this guy does this, which is so weird for me. It's like, how do you don't go see a comic and go, oh, I hope you don't go see a band and say, I hope he plays country music. You go, what you're gonna get. So I try to help people write stuff that's similar and similar to where they are, what level, and how to present themselves. And it's like, oh, that helps if you move that joke here. What I think you should do is drop those lines, and anyway, it's fun. It's something to do during a pandemic, and that's a way to give back, a way to help out some of the younger guys, But I hope I've coached like 3 people on stand-up and 2 people on acting. I just started last week, but it's a lot of fun, and the 5 students I've had really, really have expressed appreciation. So I guess I'm good. We'll see. Yeah.
And people out there, you don't have to move to LA now. You can be anywhere in the globe and get coaching from Scolaro. So take advantage of it.
Well, also now the thing is that wherever you live, it's all on self-taping now. Think of how many shows tape in Georgia or Texas now. Yeah. Fear Walking Dead's in Texas. A lot of shows are in Georgia. So if you can get to these places, you can get auditions. If you have some way to get you auditions. Like there's shows taping in New York, in Canada, they tape all over. So if you're interested, I can help you do that. I can't help you get auditions, but I can help you nail the audition. So that's what I'm doing, and it's something to do. I mean, you could get on TV before because I got a fucking immune system, autoimmune system problem. So anyway, but I'm still smoking. Nobody should take that away.
And smoking inside. Look at you, living on the edge.
Yeah, well, I'm smoking in a studio apartment.
It's the only place you can legally smoke in California, unless it's weed. Then it's different. Then it's cool.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm not married. No woman was like, give me a piece of that. No woman said I had a Fred Flintstone fetish. I needed to scratch and jump on board my fat ship. So I'm smoking. I don't care. I don't smoke around other people. I don't smoke on airplanes. And can they stop reminding me not to smoke on airplanes? The signs everywhere. Don't smoke. I know not to smoke. Stop reminding me about smoking. Beautiful, wonderful smoking. Stop reminding me. Some people tell you not to smoke and they don't even know what they're saying. I was standing outside. A woman goes, that's a disgusting habit. I'm like, well, so is telling people what to do. Woman was like, you should shut that off. I'm like, shut that. Do you even know how this works? How can you hate something without knowing? Let me turn it down. Anyway, so yeah, acting coaching. But I've been on Mad Men was a great show to be on because they really welcomed guest roles on that show, and it was great writing and it was a whole different style of acting than this. I did a sitcom with Pam Anderson and Christopher Lloyd for 2 years called Stacked. We worked in a bookstore. I was one of the 5 cast members on Fox, and it was that was probably the best time of my life to look in the eyes of Christopher Lloyd and Pam. A lot of people don't know this about Pam Anderson. Most people don't know this. She has really big tits.
What?
You can't tell by looking at her, but they're huge. They're like little heads. Huh. Remember Quado from Total Recall? It was like having a little head. Yeah. Open your mind.
No, I know she had great hair. I had no idea. Well, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and but she was really nice. And to look at Christopher Lloyd's eyes and act with him for 2 years, and I went on double dates with the guy. It was tremendous fun. That was my life before the writer's strike. And
what is that like, though? Christopher Lloyd did a double date. What does that be? I need to know because I'm a champion double dater. But Christopher Lloyd, tell me about it.
Well, Christopher Lloyd is a great guy, and first of all, I got a lot of great stories. He told me a lot of great stories that made me. But also, did you know he got in trouble for getting a hand job on the Back to the Future ride at Universal Studios? He did, and I'm dead serious about that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He was kind of a heady guy, But I really liked him. I really liked him a lot. And one thing I said to him, like after I got to know him after a couple of months, I said, "Hey man, there's one thing you did that really upset me." And he goes, "What?" And I go, "I hate to." I was like, "Listen, I'm sorry, but you did something that really upset me." And he goes, "No, what'd I do? Tell me." I go, "You killed the shoe in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Right. You took that squeaky little shoe, and you put him in the dip, and you killed him." And he goes, "I'm sorry." Which made me laugh so hard that he played all. He goes, "I'm really sorry." But it was fun, He was what was good about Christopher Lloyd is that he would always do the lines a little differently because he was a real actor. So to keep things fresh for him, I would do my delivery different for him, and it was so much fun to work with him. And the first time in the corner of my eye where I made him laugh during a scene out loud, I was I can't tell you what that meant because as a kid growing up watching Taxi, I still remember him trying to close the cabin door when they were in the cabin episode and the wind was so strong he couldn't close the door and he kept falling on the floor and went on for like 2 minutes. And that my whole family was in the living room laughing. I can remember distinctly all 4 of us laughing. And so to work with that guy for 2 years and have him know my name, was tremendous fun. And he would invite me out. Like, I went to dinner with him and his now wife a few times, and I really liked him a lot. And that's one of the saddest things about the writer's strike is, I didn't get to work with him anymore, But I do miss the guy. And when he goes, I'm going to crash his funeral.
You'll be invited. So what are some of the big differences between stage acting and acting for sitcoms?
Well, the only stage acting I've done, I did a couple of off-Broadway plays, but I did plays in high school and college, high school and grammar school. I really can't answer the question about stage acting. Stage acting is similar to multicam. Multicam is, like I've explained, Big Bang Theory, what's like a stage play. The big difference there is you stop every 5 minutes. You stop and do it again. But camera acting is single camera acting is more subtle. you don't have an audience to react to, and everything's. I don't want to give away my coaching sessions, but everything's in the face. Everything's it's all about standing still and just talking the way we're talking, and you can react very simply with your eyes and your eyebrows and your inner thoughts. The camera can read your inner thoughts in single camera, so you don't. And sitcom acting is bigger. Like, what are you talking about? Is pushing the envelope. I always love Shelley Long on Cheers. If you watch Shelley Long on Cheers, watch how she pushes every plot. She's the major part of the show where every plot could not exist if her character didn't push. Norman, aren't you tired of sitting on the bar stool? Now you get to do this with your life. Norman, she pushed everything, and then she was the blood of that show. And when she left, they had Fraser Crane take over as someone who pushes the characters. So that's sitcom acting, and single camera is more subtle, and I like it. Philip Seymour Hoffman was my favorite, and I love Paul Giamatti. His single camera acting is all right. It's all little grunts. I love John Adams. You ever see John Adams, the HBO series with Paul Giamatti? He's fantastic, and he's so fantastic in it. Everything's really subtle, and it makes. That's why I like the show Fargo. Everything is so subtle. All the actors are very subtle. And there's a little black kid on Fargo, and Chris Rock they have to switch kids. There's the black mafia family and the Italian mafia family, and they switch sons. So the Italian family raises the black kid, and the black family raises the Italian kid. So in the second episode, Chris Rock says to his son, he goes to visit him. And he goes, "We'll get you home soon." And the kid goes, "When?" Now, it's the first line the kid says. But the way the kid said it, he's like, "When?" Like he's been waiting for permission to say the word "when" his whole life. He's been waiting to ask his dad when. And since his dad's a mafia, you can't just say it. He's got to say quietly. So when the kid did that line reading, I was like, he moved me just with one word. And in one word, you understood how badly this kid wanted to go home. And that is a great actor who can move you with one word. And this is a little 10-year-old boy. I was really, really impressed. That's the stuff that I try to coach. And that's the stuff that I try to do when I act, And a lot of acting coaches failed. I didn't fail. It took a fucking pandemic for my career to end. I failed. So I could actually do this. And I'm not somebody who's trying to make my living off of this. I'm trying to temporarily put a Band-Aid on a career that stopped because nobody would wear a mask. So that's it. Isn't it weird when you see a couple walk down the street and the girl has a mask on and the guy doesn't have a mask? You're like, what's going on in that relationship? Like, is the woman saying, I care about you. I don't want to get you sick, so I love you. I love you. And the guy's like, yeah, I love me too. That's pretty much I think what's going on there. Anyway.
That was a roll and a half. So what kind of double dates did you and Christopher Lloyd go on though? Like did you guys go to the movies? What'd you do?
Well, he had a little more money than me, so we went to some expensive restaurants. Nice. There's a place called Osteria here that's fantastic. It's been on Top Chef. It's a seafood restaurant. And we went to another restaurant in New York on Restaurants Row. Christopher Lloyd's an old school guy. Like he was with Belushi on the night Belushi died. He's been around. So he liked that the hotel where Belushi died. What is that called? Chateau Marmont. He likes going to those places. Likes going to the old Hollywood places. You guys see my pack of cigarettes?
Yeah, it's right in the bathroom.
No, it was right here. There it is. And I would, when he'd have sex, I'd sit at the edge of the bed and go, warp speed, But we went to dinner a couple of times. He started dating somebody the same time I started dating somebody. So that kind of bonded us together too, It was just dinner and, talking afterwards. We didn't go to the movies. That'd be kind of weird. Yeah.
And then you're working with Pam Anderson. What is that like? I mean, obviously, at one given time, nobody was more famous than Pam Anderson. I mean, she's unforgettable.
Yeah, no, she was really, really sweet. At first, she felt distant at first, but then I realized she's hearing everything I'm saying. She's not making eye contact, but she's hearing every word I'm saying. Then I go to my dressing room and there'd be orchids. She'd buy everybody orchids and she'd buy gifts for us. And she would listen. And then suddenly when she got to know you, she was very, very giving. I remember the end of the first season, after the crowd clapped, I laid on the floor in front of the crowd. And she jumped on top of me. And that would be most guys' dream. But in order to work with her, I had to put out of my mind that she was very sexual looking. So I couldn't work with her and think, I want her. I had to rule that out, you know? And it also helped that I never saw the famous videotape with her and Tommy Lee. It helped that I never saw that. I mean, why do guys want to watch guys with bigger dicks? I'm like, that's not it. I'm not interested in that. You know? Not interested. You know, why do you guys support women to go see guys with bigger? Stop. So first of all, can we stop cutting to the guy during porn? I don't want to see that angle. You know, I'm always about to ejaculate to cut to the guy's face, and I'm like, no, now I'm gay. Thanks. Anyway, so Pam was very good. Anyway, she did the Jimmy Kimmel show, and Jimmy Kimmel show is a block away from me. So she said, come down. And then they, you know, when the beginning of the talk shows, they always show a picture of the guests coming up. Like, coming up, Pamela Anderson, show a picture of her. She gave me a kiss on my cheek for the picture. And they said, well, we just want a picture of you. She said, no, use that one.
Ooh.
So she's very giving with her fame. And I also remember she said to me, who's Ali G? And I was like, why? She goes, they want me to do his movie, Borat. And I was like, do it. I was like, he's very popular right now, do it. And she did. So I'm kind of the reason she's in Borat, you know?
Nice.
We told her to date Kid Rock. She was like, I don't know, you know, Tommy Lee's the father of my kid. Tommy Lee's the father of my kids, but Kid Rock is Bob. She called him Bob. Bob's interested. And we all liked Kid Rock. He was nice and polite, introduced himself to all of us. Tommy Lee never said one word to us. And we all said, go to Bob. And then Kid Rock was like, she was like, what happened with Kid Rock? She's like, he wanted me to move to Detroit. I can't do that. You know, and I'm like, yeah, you can see here. And so that's how that ended. But she was very, very nice, and she was very sweet and giving, and she loved Goldie Hawn. So I bought her all these Goldie Hawn's comedies, Private Benjamin, Foul Play, Seems Like Old Times, and I just gave her all Goldie Hawn. I miss her very much. She was a very dear friend for at least 3 or 4 years. You know, but you drift out of touch. You know, now I can rival her now in the breast game. But she was sweet. And I'll tell you, every time I did anything with her, it was never easier for me to get a woman's phone number. You know, this is how horrible women can be. They see you, he's hanging out with Pam, he must, you know what I mean? It's just like, why does that work? Why does that me being a good hard worker and a kind person help? Why does me standing next to Pam Anderson mean something, you know? But that's the truth, you know. And I never got laid more than when I was working with Pam Anderson. So I really miss her.
We got to end this pandemic so you and Pam Anderson can reconnect on the silver screen.
Well, we were very good together. She was really good at comedy, you know. She was very, very good at comedy. I've been a kind of person to work for. We had a short work week because she would insist on dropping her kids off at school, which does not mean take a poop to her, and also picking them up after school. So we had a very short work day, you know. And yeah. Anyway, thanks. I'm glad you like that joke, Brian.
I do. I'm missing the stack days and the Baywatch days. You're taking me back, Brian, and I appreciate that.
The stack was a lot of fun. It's on Hulu, and it's a fun show to watch. And it's the same guy who's winning all the Emmys for Modern Family, you know. So the show was actually pretty good. Just a lot of people didn't give it a try because it was called Stacked, which wasn't the humor. The humor of the show wasn't about her breasts, but you know, it was there, but it wasn't about it. So people thought it was going to be lowbrow, but it wasn't.
I like that VIP show that she did before that. You know, maybe like 7 years before. That was fun too. It was campy. It was supposed to be, you know. Natalie Bertano, all kinds of beautiful women, and just fun. Just clamping.
Yeah. I don't remember very well. I'll tell you who I did have a crush on. Carmen Electra did the show, and she was blonde during the show, and we hit it off so well that I was like, I think I'm gonna date Carmen Electra. You know what I mean? It was delusional, but it was like we hit it off so well, and seeing her blonde, I allowed myself to be attracted. I couldn't allow myself to be attracted to Pam because I was working with her every day. Yeah. Carmen was just doing 1 week, and I was one of the craziest weeks of my life. And there was a scene where her character had to come on to my character, and the rehearsal, she put her ass on my crotch and made circle motions, and I'll be honest, guys, I got what we call an erection, and she did not go, yeah! You know what I mean? She let it happen and did it, and I just wasn't expecting it. And so I did not take precautions. And the director, God bless the director, let her do it. And then after the scene said, maybe not do that. And I did, oh, come on. And Carmen was like, oh, I'm sorry. But then she told me something very vulnerable and sweet. She said, I'm used to being hired to play the siren. And so this is all new for me. And she's like, would you help me rehearse a scene? I was like, yeah, of course. And she was very, very sweet. No, we didn't do that. We didn't do it like that anymore. But it was one of my favorite memories because there's so much. Hot people have so much of a different life than us. Yeah, than the three of us. Yeah. Like they everywhere they go, they get hit on, which is why Pam wasn't making eye contact. And Carmen was always asked to play a certain part, like that, and it made her feel like that's all she was good for. When really there's more there. She's a good person. And they both, so it's like you learn a lot, and they have different problems. We don't have to worry about getting raped as men. We don't have to worry about that. Like I could wear a thong to the 7-Eleven and I still wouldn't get raped. I'd get arrested and raped in prison, but not at the 7-Eleven.
Yeah, it's delayed rape, which is, I guess, better than 7-Eleven, as you said.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but you don't get a Slurpee afterwards, unless Slurpee means something else.
Yeah, exactly. So what's next, Brian? You've pivoted to coaching. You've done stand up. You're an author. Like once we're able to go out and not wear masks, what's your next chapter?
If they assist us until the vaccine comes out, I think I'm like 4th year for when the vaccine comes out. Mm-hmm. Like if they keep us here, if I'm able to stay here in LA, I want to continue acting. I'll probably travel the country. I'll go back to the life I was doing. I'd like to play the road less as a comic and audition more. Mm-hmm. But I really enjoy acting. It's what I'm meant to do. And, I'm also, for the first time in my life, looking for regular jobs that I can work remote at. I have nothing on my resume, so they're not hiring me. I've told jokes and pretended for 25 years. Hire me with the
you'd be good at sales.
So it's like I'm doing what I can. I really had a good career, and if it ends, it ends. And I'm just gonna I'll just try to coach, and one day I'll run a small theater in upstate New York or something. But it's still, I have 1/3 of my life left, hopefully, and I'd rather it be happy. A lot of people feel they have to follow their dreams, and I'm telling you, you don't got to follow your dreams. Every song, every movie has showed you following your dreams isn't as important as the relationships you make. And what's really important is, do you have people you loved and people you treated well? And there's no better person on this earth than my dad. I lost my dad this year, and I couldn't even see him because he was in Queens during the height of Corona. And I couldn't even see my dad. And the way he lived his life for my brother and me was much more honorable than the stuff I've done. And the people when the Corona broke out, the people working in supermarkets and hospitals and truck drivers, these are people who put their lives at risk when something was unknown, and they showed themselves to be the most essential of all of us. And I love that. So you don't need to follow your dreams, because all you're going to realize when you get to the end of your dream is that you should have been married and had kids, and you should have and you should have spent more time with your parents. That's all you're gonna think. So you know, that's what I'm thinking. But I had a really good 20 years. So whatever happens, happens, and we'll see what this country does next year, and how they support people who are out of work. You know.
So hear that, kids? Don't follow your dreams.
You don't need. No, you don't need to.
I agree.
You know, dreams are dreams. You know, it's like if you concentrate on your dream, you miss out on the world. And what do Buddha say? It's all about what's in front of you. It's all about what's at the present moment. And you know, when if I was not an actor, I would have been in New York and spent the last 20 years with my dad before my dad passed. But I missed it all because of my acting. You know, so it doesn't matter. I don't think following your dreams is that big. You know, I think what's most important is you do stuff you like, and be with people you love, and that's what I think is important. But on the other hand, I also think it's important is buy my book. This is on Amazon. It's called How to Punch a Monkey, and it's not what you think it's about. But this is it's on Amazon, and if you buy my book, or you go to you want an coaching, acting, or stand-up session, or if you buy my albums on Amazon, you know, don't stream them. You stream them, we get no money. If you buy the album, then we get paid. Or you know, if you want to donate to my multiple sclerosis medical fund, please do. I'm on GoFundMe. Every cent goes to my multiple sclerosis medical bill, because it's monthly treatment. That's pretty expensive. But otherwise, or don't do anything, and I hope you die.
Well, let me echo some of the things you just said, because as an artist, you know, we're all doing something. Matt's got a book. I'm always writing a book. We got the pod, you know, all these things. Yes, stream them, all those things. But for sure, like, take what does this book cost? By the way, the link is in the show notes right here. $12.99. Which if you met Brian in the corner, would you buy him lunch? But buy his fucking book, you know, just God damn it. Yeah. Quit giving money to people you don't even know. And here's someone that you can interact with. And the other thing I wanted to say is we're doing these shows as a way to ramp up towards when Bastards Canteen opens in Temecula. We're going to have a comedy stage. We, of course, would love to have you come out and help us, get you paid, but also help us raise money for, you know, the prevention and the awareness about suicide and veterans and PTSD. Save the Brave. You know, it's a big part of what we do.
My friend Brody killed himself 2 years ago, and Richard Jenny killed himself. I would love to do that. Love to do that. Yeah,
that's why we're doing these things. And we didn't get to start the normal way. So would you say these words for me? Would you say, this is Brian Scolaro, you're watching the Break It Down show, and I'll put it at the beginning.
Yeah. This is Brian Scolaro, and you're watching the Breaking Down show.
There you go. Good enough. Hey, and as far as I'm concerned, great. Love it. Thank you so much. I'm going to let Matt ask.
I'm so sorry for being late. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
There's a problem.
Stand by for 1 second.
Sure.